How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well, and here are my thoughts on animation number 5, Brick. My inspiration or motivation or whatever you want to call it for this animation is very simply, I wanted to work more on moving a 3D shape in a 3D space. And I'm not talking like physically moving a shape. I'm talking like twisting it, morphing it, and just doing things to a shape that could be useful in the future. And so my thinking and through my teachings, before I can get into really complex shapes, like for example, the human body, it's better to like focus more on basic shapes, like for example, the cube. Or, a rectangular prism, or, simple shapes. And so that was my goal, is to challenge myself and push myself. And like, for example, there's one part where I'll talk about it later, where the cube or brick, where brick twists. And I will admit, it was a challenge for me to, figure out like where does the shape go in space. And I would say through trial and error, I was able to get something across. In regards to things that I've learned and that I enjoyed through this animation, I could really think of two things. The first one is the fact that this animation took 2 weeks to make. I think I've mentioned this back in the day on my social media, but I got into a point where if I work on one project for more than a week, I burn out pretty easily. And when I talk about my struggles, I'll talk more about it there, but the fact is, I got it done, it's complete, and I can finally pat myself on the back because, hey, I actually completed an animation that took longer than a week. And then the other thing that I'm proud of, and I've just mentioned this in the inspirations and motivation part, is being able to move a cube in space. Taking something that is like legitimately 3D and being able to twist it and move it around. Like for example, the part at the beginning where the blob was behind the brick, as I just mentioned, like I wasn't sure how the brick would twist. Like what sides would move, what lines would twist, would I have to curve it? It was hard. It was hard for me to figure that out, but through, again, trial and error and doing a little bit of experimentation on the side, I got something that I think works, and honestly, it looks great. So yeah, and then the other part that I'm proud of too is that it is like longer than a minute long, and there's some form of a coherent story in this animation. Just to add on to the things that I liked or that I learned, the final, like, clean pass, I learned a lot about how to clean the animation. And so that's why the line work looks pretty good. It's because I actually took some time to really learn like polylines and using like straight lines and the contour editor on Toon Boom, and using that to make sure everything moves more smoothly. I definitely enjoyed that, and I definitely think using that in the future is, God, the word choice is so bad, I'm sorry. I'm glad I'm able to learn this, and it's going to be useful in my future animations. There, that's what I was trying to say. So the big struggle and the thing that I need to work on is something that I, again, mentioned earlier in this video, but I got to a point where about maybe 3 or 4 days ago, where my mindset started to shift, where I honestly felt like the quality dipped, and because I was just thinking more about finish this animation. I just want to get it done, get it out of the way, so that I can move on to the next project. And unfortunately, because of that, I cannot say that this animation is perfect. I mean, I know that it's not like anime top tier My Hero Academia quality, but I just know that, I've made progress, and that's really the goal with these animations, is just making progress. And so long as I am better in some way every single time, that's all that matters. So yeah, and I will say, like this, I feel like some of the story at the end kind of fizzled out, because at the end where you had like the brick and the blob like hug each other, I will admit, like I'm not entirely set on like why the emotion is there. Yeah, I mean, I can openly admit that, like, it could be just the brick was overwhelmed, or the fact that he accidentally had the blob get hurt. That could possibly be a thing, but I honestly, my thinking with these animations for now is I honestly like to animate first and then work a story around it after that. Which I feel like is kind of like the Enter 2003 videos, where it's like I make the race and then it's like I make some form of story around that afterward. And I kind of like it that way. I kind of like the idea of just like, where does my mind go and what happens, and then what kind of story can I build on top of that. I know it's not the best of strategies, but I don't know, at least for now, as I continue to develop my animation skills, I kind of like that way. Kind of like, you know, surprising myself, if you will. And then the other thing that I'm a little meh on is the colors. Now, granted, colors is not necessarily my focus yet. I think when I get more confident with line work and just the movement, then I can focus more on colors and tints. And I feel like I could do more and I could spend more time with coloring, but at this point, I just, like, I wanted to add it on just to add a little more to this animation, but I didn't want to, like, you know, take another week just to focus solely on color. That will happen in the future, but as I'm still, you know, a novice in this animation game, I want to just focus on, like, having color for the sake, and I'm thinking more specifically just for identification, because brick is more of that orangish brown, and then the blob is more of that, what was it, like kind of like a yellowish green color, and then the cube is a bluish color. And that's really the only reason why, is just so that you have the different identities, if you will. So yeah, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could spend more time on this, but the fact of the matter is I don't want to spend, you know, like create a huge lore around cubes. Truth of the matter is I want to animate people. Like, that's my focus. Like, that's what I want to work on, and that is what you will see in the near future. So yeah, as I said, it's not really a perfect animation, but yeah, I definitely say that I really made some progress. Well, my final thoughts in regards to this animation is it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction, I think. I definitely feel like I've made a lot of progress so far, but I know I still have a long ways to go. And just a random side note, Amphibia, I just finished watching season 2 of Amphibia. Great show, fantastic show. It's on Disney Plus. If you have the time, I highly recommend it. It's definitely up there in my wheelhouse. It's definitely a lot like Gravity Falls. So highly suggest it. Watch it. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, I definitely am learning a lot, but that's just my focus is, and again, I'm still working a full-time job. So I'm waking up at 4:30 and I'm spending, an hour and a half animating every single weekday. And I am going to bed at about 8 p.m. just to try and, get some sleep. So, yeah, so of course I wish I could be more, active on, social media and, really like pushing like my, desire and my passion for being creative in the animation field. But just with the time I have, what little time I have, I want to do this and, create, worlds eventually. So I think that's it. For next week, what I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be working on a bunch of rough animations for the upcoming animations that you'll eventually see. So you won't get a new animation next week, but what I want to do is kind of like a progress report video, and just to kind of talk about just kind of adding on to what I'm talking about now. Everything that I've been working on so far, what I'm liking, what I'm not liking, and kind of just getting my thoughts out there, honestly, as I continue down this route. Yeah, and honestly, like I know I really haven't talked much about animation like before I made the switch, but I do. Like, I definitely have thoughts, I definitely have ideas, and, you know, I at some point want to talk about it, of course. But yeah, so we'll do that next week, and then, of course, you'll start seeing more and more of my work on here as I get more and more confident with what the hell I'm doing. So, as usual, if you guys have any thoughts, comments, questions, whatever, leave it in the comment section down below, and make sure you smack that like button, lick that like button. If you're not subscribed yet, hopefully you guys are here to support, so I can create some dank ass, I'm not gonna say the S word, crap. This video is not monetized, but whatever. But yeah, like, I'm gonna keep going with this. It's been a grind, it's been hell, but the only thing I know for sure is if I keep going with this, good things will happen. So, with that being said, thank you guys again so much for the support, and this is Griff Dog saying so long, until next time.